Anna Kasparian has stepped in it. She is not well liked by anybody to the left at the moment. Now, if you don't know who Anna Kasparian is, there's a network called the Young Turks on YouTube. It's big. It's a big network. And it's historically been to the left, progressive, Bernie Sanders supporters, those types of people. Well, apparently, Anna Kasparian recently came out with a tweet that basically said she doesn't want to be called a birthing person anymore. You know, she says that it's kind of like an offensive term to her, like kind of narrowing it down or narrowing her value down to like her uterus. And that makes sense. I get that. But inclusive language like that is really only ever used in medical settings or, you know, studies. It's used for studies, that type of thing. So I'm not sure who is going around calling her a birthing person in the first place. The backlash has been swift. I wanted to just kind of look at this Reddit post about it, because people are being pretty brutal. But aside from that, you know, I'm not a huge fan of Anna anyway, so I'm not going to sit here and defend what she did. But I do feel like people were being a little bit brutal in the comments. I just want to scroll through and look. For what it's worth, the Young Turks has churned out lots of right-wing nutcases for some reason, like Jimmy Dore. For better or worse, he has, at the very least, assisted the right heavily. And Dave Rubin came out of the Young Turks. That guy's just straight up right-wing now. Like, he's just a MAGA nutcase. I don't know why the Young Turks has a tendency to turn out, like, you know, right-wing crazies like that. But I do know that their strategies, the way that they view things and the way they operate is more populist. Now, Bernie Sanders and Tucker Carlson are both populists, but they have different solutions to the same problems that they talk about. Cenk and Anna tend to be kind of aggressive. They call people names a lot. They yell about things constantly. They insult people. I don't do that. I don't do any of that stuff. I mean, I'll get upset and I'll yell, but I don't call people names. I don't insult people if I can avoid it. The harshest name that I go with is either Nutter Butter or, you know, Crusader or Crazy or something like that. That's about as harsh as it gets for me. And it's supposed to be a reflection of where the person is in their headspace rather than an actual insult. I'm not using it as an insult when I say this stuff, right? That's a fundamental difference between us. Now, a little while back, I covered Anna's take on the COVID pandemic. All through the COVID era, there was this conspiracy theory floating around that it leaked from a lab. Now, there was no reason to believe that it leaked from a lab at that time. Was it possible that it leaked from a lab? Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's possible. Anything's possible. But there's no evidence for it. And there's no reason to believe it until there is evidence, right? Well, not too long ago, I think Department of Energy came out with a conclusion that it was with low probability or low confidence. They assessed that COVID leaked from a lab with low confidence. Interestingly enough, it's the same level of confidence the U.S. government had that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. But despite that fact, Anna and Cenk came out on air and complained about the fact that it's been proven now that COVID leaked from a lab, and started saying they knew it all along and they feel like fools because they denied it in the beginning and all this stuff. It doesn't matter if people predicted that it leaked from a lab 3 years ago or 2 years ago or whatever. They were wrong. They were wrong to do that because they didn't have evidence on their side. They had no evidence to support the assertion. Is it possible? Sure. Is it likely? You have no clue. You have no idea how likely it is because there's no evidence to support it. So Cenk and Anna, I feel, have been going down a really bad road for a while. But let's just, let's take a look at this Reddit thread what is it? This is the Majority Report subreddit that we're talking about, what Anna said recently about birthing persons. She's adopting TERF language and doubling down and refusing to see the problem, even though she, not too long ago, like, posted a video, I don't know, a year ago, explaining the exact problem that people seem to have with this situation. But anyway, yeah, let's just look through some of this. This is from Willow Wisp. Wait, Willow Wisp, isn't that somebody in my community? I think it is. So I was going to make a post at some point attempting to defend TYT a little bit because it's become increasingly easier to shit on them. People act as if a couple of grifters that went through their doors, Dor, Rubin, Michael Tracy, is indicative that the whole organization is trash. There have been dozens of hosts, guest hosts, producers, and contributors over the years that have gone on to produce good things for the left. Emma Vigland, with the Majority Report being one of them. I don't know Dan, or I would have mentioned him. But, you know, this person is correct. TYT as an organization is great, really. They have some really good people in there. And it's not just about Cenk and Anna, but here's the thing. Cenk and Anna are at the very top, and as such, control the culture. They sway the culture. The things that they say, do, think, and believe all influence what happens within the organization. It influences the people that they bring in to host things or whatever. So if there's poison at the top, it's going to reflect all the way down the organization. Now, Cenk and Anna have their good qualities. I don't know that it's really fair to call them poisonous exactly, but they are reactionary, and they name call and they insult and use the exact same tactics as the right does. And I feel that we should try to be above that stuff. That's just me. However, the way Cenk and Anna are going scorched earth with this is getting beyond ridiculous. They're up to quintupling down on this position, and the smugness and self-righteousness has been really annoying. They refuse to even entertain any differing opinions, and they've been playing victims as they now start attacking friends and allies who are trying to explain to them why their stances are problematic. Yeah, that's kind of how it goes, unfortunately. There was one message in here that I found interesting. Let me find it. Okay, here we go. This was done over. No one was talking about it. Anna at like 1 a.m. pulled out a 2+ week old clip just to get mad about it in an unrelated thread. I can't believe they're burning all the bridges over something so petty. She could have kept her IMO bad opinion to herself when on air, and this would have just passed. It already had passed. It's honestly embarrassing for them. It had not passed, actually. It feels like it's passed because you're not hearing about it very much, because the media cycle has kind of moved beyond it. But trust me, I've been in the middle of social media storms, for lack of a better term, and this is not passed for Anna or Cenk. They are both dealing with tweet after tweet after tweet. I'm sure of it. I mean, I haven't seen their Twitter account, but I'm sure this is happening. And their numbers are probably falling. Views, listeners on podcasts, and subscribers, followers, probably falling to this moment. Here, take a look at the next one here. This is more conspiratorial than I usually like to get, but it makes me think this whole thing is strategic. Okay, I've been involved in social media. I've been a social media influencer, if you will, for 7 years now. 2016 of March. So, yeah, 7 years. 7 years. I know how this stuff works. I will contribute my expertise as somebody who's been on this side of it for a while. Anna, out of nowhere, drops a random opinion that's 100% about-face from the perspective she held less than a year ago. That's true. Although, you know, if we're getting conspiratorial, let me just set it straight. It's possible that this opinion was sparked by something. Hell, maybe Anna realized recently she can't have kids and she really wanted kids. I don't know. Just saying, it doesn't have to be strategic. There could be a regular explanation for it. Cenk immediately comes out to defend her from the pushback she had to know was coming. Yeah, that's what he does. He defends his hosts to the death, for better or worse. I don't think, if they have a bad opinion, you should call them on that, seems to me. Most leftists disagree with her, but they do so politely while defending her track record on trans rights. No. Maybe the influencers, maybe like Secular Talk and Emma Vigland or whatever, maybe. From Anna's perspective, it is a ridiculous, massive storm raining down on everything. That's what it feels like when you're in the middle of this. probably getting death threats and stuff. That's just how social media works. That's what it's about. Hell, Anna's probably got death threats before this happened. You know, that's how it works. Trust me. As somebody who's been in this for 7 years, death threats are like a normal part of this. Once the issue is done and buried, it's not done and buried, for the record. It's still happening right now. Their Twitter account is probably still blowing up. They're still losing subscribers right now. And Anna purposefully digs it up again. And she feels like, I would be willing to bet she's probably responding or reacting to something that happened recently. Anna announces she has no more desire to work with leftists. That makes sense, actually, the desire to not work with leftists. I have no desire to work with anybody. You ever noticed I never collaborate with anybody, ever? I went on the line recently with Mr. Atheist. That's the first and last collab that I've done in years, because it's just a toxic train wreck every single time. It is an obvious and intentional pivot. The point here is to filter out old viewers and dog whistle to the new ones. This is how a pivot works. I'm not convinced of that. I think this whole thing was probably sparked because something happened in Anna's personal life that, like, pushed her to this position. It seems like a pointless position to really double down on, but it made sense to her. And it actually does hurt a lot of people when she does this. So I wouldn't say that it's a pivot. I would say something probably happened in her life that led to this. And it's unfair to assume it was a pivot or something, but we'll see. You know, when people are attacked by a group, they will either go left or they'll go right. That's how it works. Like, Dave Rubin was attacked for adopting kids because he's gay. And instead of taking a left turn, he took a right turn. She's right about one thing. Leftist drama online does not matter. Focus, stay local, work out from there. Yeah, that's definitely true. Anna Kasparian has more solidarity with Ben Shapiro than she does with anyone on the left. That probably hurts her a great deal to hear comments like that, which may be the goal. You know, if you want her to if you're trying to shock her awake and make her realize what's happening and the road she's going down, that may be the way to do it. On the other hand, it may not be the way to do it. This may actually have a backfire effect. I don't know. Either way, she's getting tons and tons and tons of messages like this, accusing her of being on the right. And she's also getting tons of, like, death threats and encouraging messages. You know, that's just how social media drama works. Drama may not be the right word for it, but that's kind of what's happening right now. That's how it works. So, yeah, I feel bad that she's, like, being targeted heavily, but she was wrong on this position. She's flat out wrong on this position. Let's hope when she comes out the other side, she comes out better than she was before. Not worse, like Dave Rubin did. Anyway, yeah, let me know what you think about it in the comments. I don't usually like to address drama, but I feel like I have an inside perspective being a YouTuber, you know, and having dealt with YouTube drama or social media attacks before over one thing or another. You know, like last year or a couple years ago, my kid was told that trans people and gay people are evil in health class, and I released the footage of that, the recording, and I got attacked like you wouldn't believe on social media, not by the left, but by the right. And it's effectively the same thing when people are kind of dogpiling you online. That's just, it's hard to deal with. So I do have experience with dealing with, like, attacks online like that, and it sucks. It sucks. Like I said, maybe deserved in Anna's case, maybe not to this degree, but she was wrong on her position. Either way, let's hope she comes out on the other side better than she was before. That's all. Don't count on her and Jink changing. They just doubled down the other day. That doesn't surprise me. That's what happens. Either you double down or you accept that you were wrong and you move on. If they're doubling down, it could be a bad sign. It could mean that they're moving further to the right. Like I said, that's what happens. Either you move to the left or you move to the right when these things happen. I'm not going to say trans people or LGBT people are evil, but Christ, science says there are two genetic sexes. I can't put science aside for feeling. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, 100%. Everyone agrees with that. You are correct. Science says that there are two sexes. It's actually not. It's bimodal. It's not binary. So there's like a bell curve, like so. And the two sexes fall somewhere in the middle usually, and on each end there are exceptions. So it may not be a bell curve. I don't know what the technical term is for it, but it's bimodal is the point. Like, there are in-betweens with sex. It's not very common, but it does happen. Sex and gender are two separate, distinct categories. Just Google it. Google the definition. It's been this way for years and years and years. A long, long time. Sex is the biological expression, and gender is the psychological expression. Not kidding. I'm trying to understand. Why did her saying she didn't want to be called a childbearing person? I can't remember the term exactly. Yeah, birthing person. Why is that upsetting? Why is it upsetting that she didn't want to be called a birthing person? The term birthing person is only really used in scientific contexts where it's necessary. Now, when people complain about being called a birthing person, who's calling her that? It's a category of person. Nobody would call somebody a birthing person. That's just bizarre. Complaining about the term, the scientific category birthing person, is kind of a right-wing dog whistle. Like, why do you care that science is using this category? It's the kind of thing that we hear right-wing extremist women, like activist mommy, complain about. Why is Anna picking up talking points from activist mommy, anti-vax, anti-trans, J.K. Rowling? Why? It's just weird. Now, personally, I don't think I care that much. If she doesn't want to be called a birthing person, I won't call her a birthing person. I never planned to anyways. But the problem is that she's like quadrupling down and refusing to see the problem. I've never heard birthing person used in colloquial speech. Its main purpose is in healthcare and public policy because it refers to the most people in context the document is about. When referring to a specific person, I've only ever heard pregnant, appropriate word for the person's gender identity. So pretty much everyone would refer to Anna as a woman if she ever got pregnant. Yeah. Like I said, who knows? Maybe something sparked this for her. Maybe she was upset over this situation because, I don't know, she realized recently that she can't get pregnant or something. There's certainly an explanation for why she went down this road. I don't know what it is, but it's a turf road, I'm a trans woman, talked sex ed, and fund a trans support group. Never used birthing person outside of talking about sex ed. Right. I don't understand who's calling her this. And she claims to have been directly called a birthing person before. She says, I live in California. Of course I've been called a birthing person. Like, okay, I live in New York City, one of the most progressive cities anywhere. I haven't been called, a non-birthing person. I haven't heard anyone else called a birthing person here, ever. So, I don't know. It's just weird. Let me know what you think.